Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Speedplay Italy number 16 in Hearts of Iron 3. We left off, the Soviets are making gains against us in the east, we're charging up in the center, and we've done so much damage to the Soviet Union that the Germans are making progress. The plan is to just keep doing what we've been doing, charging forward against the Soviet armies, and just going forward. Afghanistan and Persia have cut off a Soviet force, America is charging through India, and also doing damage against Japan just in general. Now, our main objective here is to just keep going forward. We might take Moscow if we're able to without losing any more units. That's really the goal. We'll see how that actually goes about in practice. So we're just going to give everybody orders to move forward and see where that takes them. Oh, I'm so sorry. Alright, we move forward and start providing air supply on some of these units to try to clear up our supply situation at least a little bit. As we've been driving deeper into the Soviet Union, that has been the main concern. Now, we are probably going to lose our encircled unit. Everyone else is just going forward. And while it is very sad that we're losing these encircled units, and it is basically the one permanent bit of damage the Soviet Union is doing to us, ultimately we've encircled far more Soviet forces than they have of our own. We did just lose that unit. So while it is bad, it isn't terrible. It could be much worse, and I am a bit sad we weren't able to rescue that unit, but that's just part of war. At any rate, our armies continue to drive forward. We are securing the east, at least to an extent. Our forces are beginning to move up wherever possible, and really at this point it's just going to be a lot of moving forward. And I guess that's really been the story of this week, is us moving forward. Ever after the very first initial invasion where we were pushed back somewhat, it's just been a large story of moving forward, which is good. It's a lot of success. Mechanized and armored warfare is an amazing tool to move forward, supply issues notwithstanding. Alright, so our forces are still driving forward through the center. You'll see that's really the main area we're making progress. In the west and Belarus, we're not really doing very well. And in the southeast, we're not doing very well either. Everywhere else, though, we do at least have a significant enough advantage that we can keep driving forward. And we did pocket that one Soviet infantry group, and we are moving forward just throughout. We do have a lot of armor in the middle eastern part of the front, so we might try to move forward there. And you see we are making progress, although somewhat slowly. So with all that said and done, these forces continue to charge up, hopefully into Bryansk. Even Russian names are so fun, even if you mispronounce them. Apparently we were retreating from that one battle. I didn't realize we'd been attacked. Our forces keep moving forward. We're definitely going to try to pincer down with those armored units in the north. These armored units are just trying to move forward and do what damage they can to the Soviet units around them. Now, we could have driven straight for Moscow. I decided against that. We need to focus on their armies a bit. And these armies are just continuing to surround them. We are pulling some of the forces from the north over to work on that encirclement. And these guys are just charging up, hopefully going to trap that Alpine division. With that all said and done, we are doing fairly well. We are driving forward. The Soviets do have some occasional infantry units up in the north, but nothing too concerning. And we have completed partially an encirclement, another partial encirclement. We'll see if we're able to just drive around them and really just see how well that goes. All of these infantry units we're going to start pulling back away from the front, just because the supply issue is really terrible, and the Soviet Union is not really that much of a threat at this point, I would say. There we go, we've encircled a large army of their units, and we're moving down to encircle another group. Sadly, that one infantry group managed to get away, but we'll just continue to chase them. We had drawn a large group of forces from the north. Over here we have encircled this Soviet group. And right here we're just about to finish encircling this large Soviet army, which will just weaken their offensive in the east. These units will all try to press in and just encircle and destroy these forces. Everyone here will just continue to cut those off. And there we go. While it's not all complete, we are definitely making a lot of significant progress. We've trapped a large number of Soviet units, and hopefully we'll be able to just collapse and destroy these encircled enemy units pretty quickly. We'll see just how quickly it happens, but I have a decent amount of confidence we'll be able to do it. That group is, in fact, just terribly, terribly outmanned. Right here, those armored units are going to make it take a while. But over here, you see that it's definitely working in our favor, and working in our favor quickly. We have a bit of a rebellion, but not too much, and we transport all those additional infantry units out of the theater to hopefully clean up supplies a little bit. Alright, and now this encirclement is nearly been reduced already. We are just sending our armies off to capture key cities, which honestly will hopefully get us closer to the point where the Soviets will surrender. They're still over 50% though, so it might still be a while. And at any rate though, that entire army is now almost completely encircled and destroyed. They have lost a lot of forces. We are even going to begin advancing in the southeast. Up here we have taken out that entire northern pocket. They're all retreating to the city, where they'll probably stay for some time. And we don't even have anything resembling a line in the east anymore. The Soviet armies have been largely destroyed, and it looks as though we have free reign in the Soviet east. In the north, we still have a bit of a supply issue, less so now that we have retreated the infantry out of the front. Still a little bit, though, still concerningly out of supplies. These armies were just sending up. We attempt to fight for the cities, but it's just too much of a slog. So we just have the cities surrounded at this point. We are just charging over after any Soviet resistance. We attack both cities with just armies surrounding them, and that looks as though it's going well. And Stalingrad is surrounded. These two cities are surrounded. This garrison unit is surrounded. We're just attacking everywhere we can and just following up on the retreating Soviet units. We're going to send our attack up towards Moscow now. We have about 4 or 5 armored units going. We're pressing over and around. And really just this is the point where we're advancing everywhere. We're starting to target victory points with our armies because it looks as though the entire Soviet just military machine has stopped. If you'll notice, we haven't had to deal with any attacks in the west this entire time. And it looks as though they're actually just completely giving up. It's a bit odd. It might be, I guess, supply issues on their part now that we've taken over this central bit of their country. It might be really any number of things. At any rate, we work to encircle Moscow, and that's going very well. We encircle that army group, and hopefully just cut that down to size a little bit. We keep charging up, and it looks as though Soviet armies are just going to allow us to move. Now at this point we are kind of risking our units because this is the exact same thought process that led to some of our armies being encircled and destroyed forever. So that is a little concerning, but we just won the Battle of Moscow, and it really doesn't look as though the Soviet Union is in a position to resist. Now we are puppeting them, so we should probably stop just destroying all of their armies outright, and we just send a large group of armored and mechanized units over to just seize their key victory points and hopefully get ourselves a victory against the Soviet Union. We see the Germans are even moving up a little bit. Our forces are all just kind of charging forward. We do still have a bit of a supply issue, but at this point, Soviet resistance is non-existent. We have, essentially at this point, broken the back of the Soviet Union, which is pretty nice, honestly. It has been, I believe, 6 episodes since we invaded the Soviet Union. That's about 6 hours real time of just invasion. We declared it roughly a year ago today, or not today, but roughly a year ago, December-ish of last year. We had a bit of an unfortunate start on the Ukrainian front, but overall just a great victory against the Soviet Union. And yeah, that's just pretty great. With the Soviet Union not destroyed, but with them in the process of collapsing, the key thing is that we're just going to take their victory points, get them to surrender, and then start worrying about getting our troops out of the Soviet Union and onto the border with Nazi Germany. Because when we eventually, probably next summer, or at least just once all of our armies get into position, once we're in position, and hey, look at that, we just defeated the Soviet Union. They are now our puppet state. We have taken over their east, making our country look a little bit ridiculous, and Japan got none of their war goals. Germany got none of their war goals. And anyway, though, what we're going to do next, get our troops all aligned against Germany, annex Germany and their small puppet states, and just make Italian Europe. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And honestly, we're probably just going to prepare next episode, but thanks again for watching.